Good morning, everybody. It is time for science, and I have exciting news, and it's actually going to come to the end of our observations of our beans. So, scientists, let's see what we have. Right now, make sure you have your science journal out in front of you, and you should have a new page out so that you can make your observations on your science journal sheets. So, let's start with the wild rice. So I'm going to tip the screen down a little bit so you guys can see. My prediction is that the wild rice did not grow and that it's smellier than it was the last time we saw and that we are going to have to throw it away. That is my prediction. I'm not happy about the prediction, but I think that's what we're going to see. So let's see if my prediction is correct. All right. Let's take the lid off of it. Let's open it up. Oh yeah, it's disgusting in there. They are fuzzy and rotten. So I would say, I'm going to put the top back on it because they are smelly. That is gross. So I would say that the wild rice did not work. So that is not something that I would try again on my own. There must be a special way to do it that I didn't know. So that's okay. I could either, if it was important to me, I could Google search it and look to see what I need to do to grow wild rice. Or I could just say, that's something I need to buy at the store. So I'm going to let that go. All right, so then let's take a look at the navy beans that we started growing in the baggie. Can you already see them, you guys? They are peeking out. So I have made an observation about growing seeds in a baggie. Do you notice? So when I put them in the baggie, I lay them down flat like this. Do you see how the bean sprouts are trying to grow up, even though the baggie is in the way? And I had read that before about seeds. They know which way is down, and they know which way is up, and they always try to grow that way, even if things are in their way. Even if you plant a seed upside down, the sprout will grow up and the root will grow down. And that's what I'm seeing in these baggies. So I think if I were to do it again, I would store my baggie up and down like this instead of laying it flat on the table. Because I think then the bean would grow up like this through the baggie and it would not have to fight so hard against the baggie. But they are doing really well. So I think what I might do this weekend is get some pots with dirt in it and plant the navy beans in the pot with dirt. Let's see if I can take them out so you can see them. They're pretty stuck in there and I don't want to upset them. But, well, you know what? Let's take them out. Why not? I always start new ones. So let's see what we've got. So look, it's kind of cool because you can see the navy beans, the white shell that was on the outside of the navy beans. You can see it on the outside of the sprout. You can see, I don't know why it makes that glare. I'm sorry, guys. There we go. You can see the roots growing. You can see, I don't think they're getting enough sun, and that's why they're not very bright green. Or maybe that's just how navy beans are. So you could choose, you could pause right now, and you could do your science journal observations on the navy beans if you want to. Otherwise, let's move on and see what else we have. All right, I'm going to put them back in their baggie, though, until I get a chance to put them in the ground. I'm going to seal them up. Okay, let's take a look at our red beans that we were growing in the jar. Oh my! Holy cow! I definitely think that red bean is ready to go into some dirt. Look at that. It's growing right out of the jar. You know what? I think I might actually leave the jar open now. So you can choose to do your observations on the red bean sprout. What do you see? Once again, though, I've noticed that it is growing up and down. The other one is still stuck down in there. Ooh, they're kind of smelly, too. I don't think they like being in the jar. All right, I'm going to leave them open. So let's see. Maybe I can take them out so you can see them a little bit better too. Ooh, look, I'm noticing. Let me pull it closer. Hopefully it'll work better. I am noticing that the roots are growing through the paper towels. That's an interesting observation. I'm noticing that the outside of the shell of the bean is still on there. I'm noticing, oh, come on computer, there we go, that they're growing upright. This one seems to be stuck in the paper towel, so I'm going to pull the paper towel away from it just a little bit and see if maybe it'll grow upright now. All right, so I'm going to put that back in the jar and leave the jar open. And then this weekend, I'm also going to put these in dirt to see what happens. All right, so now here's our hugely exciting thing. Do you remember how last time, or 2 times ago, I have to even move the screen up a little bit, we moved the 2 red beans into dirt? Actually, it was a couple times ago. And the one, it was this one, wasn't doing as well because I had overwatered it, but I put it in a sunny spot and some of the water evaporated out. And now look at it, you guys. It seems to be doing great, doesn't it? And this is the other one. It also seems to be doing great. Look at how much taller they are. So if you want to do your observations on these red beans, go ahead and pause the video. Really quickly though, I'm going to talk through some of the observations that I have. What are some things that we can notice? I noticed that they have these 2 little leaves on the side, but they don't really look like the other leaves. So I'm not sure what those are. I'm noticing that they both have stems. They're nice green, firm stems. Also noticing that they have leaves, and look at how this is actually distinguishes different kinds of plants. Do you see how the leaves grow out from the same spot? Some have leaves, like there'll be a leaf here and there'll be a leaf here, but these have leaves that are growing out from the same spot. And that's one way that you can distinguish different types of plants. And it's in both of them. They both have the leaves growing out from one spot. And the second set of leaves is coming out on this one. I'm noticing that their leaves are flat. This one, the leaves seem to be a little broken, so I'm curious what will happen with that. Their leaves are green. They have little veins in them. You might want to look up what are the veins for in a plant, and maybe we can discuss that next time. So I'll leave those there while I talk to you guys. There have been some great changes, and this all started from little red beans that we put on paper towels in a baggie in the sun with water. And now what's going to happen is in a couple of weeks, you can't plant plants outside until May 15th because if it gets too cold, it will kill the plants. It's called frost, and frost kills plants. So after May 15th is usually when we have our last frost. So on May 15th, I'm going to take these plants because they're pretty big, and I would imagine the other ones will be big enough by then as well. And I'm going to plant them in my garden outside. And then I will have to see what they do. I've never grown beans like this before, so we will have to see what they do when they're planted in the ground and they grow. Will they give me red beans? Wouldn't that be exciting? Be exciting. So, until next time, happy growing. And remember, this is something, if your mom has beans sitting around the house, you can go ahead and give it a try. All right, thanks. All right, guys, I think it's recording. I'm not positive. Now that you've watched the video about what's going on with our beans and our seeds on day 18, you can look at my beans, if that's what you've been doing, or you can look at your own beans and you can write your observations in your science journal, just like we've been doing all the way along. Make sure you write what day your beans are on. Write what bean you're observing, what did you notice, draw your picture or include a photo, predictions, and questions. So what we want to talk about today, though, is that sometimes you make predictions and they may not come true. They may not be what actually happens. And then you have to think about, what can I do, or what do I have to change to make new predictions? So that's what we're going to do on these next few pages. So I'm going to show you some examples based on my beans. So what I did is I looked back through my videos about my beans, and I looked at the predictions that I had while I was in my videos. So one of the predictions I had was that hang on, let me get my mouse going, was that where's my, oh goodness, okay, I have to go down a little bit. Okay, one of my predictions was that the pine nuts would grow. What actually happened? Do you remember? They got rotten and smelly. So how I had to change my prediction is that pine nuts don't sprout when in wet paper towels. And I had to grow something else. Okay, so that was my predictions about both the pine nuts, and actually I could put the wild rice in this section as well, because the same exact thing happened with that. So I'm going to do that actually. The pine nuts and wild rice would grow, and they got rotten and smelly. So pine nuts and wild rice don't sprout when they're in wet paper towels. So I had to grow something else. All right, so that's one that I noticed, one prediction that I had. Now another prediction I noticed while I was watching is actually one that came from the last video. Okay, my computer's being a little slow, that's okay. So I'm going to get myself onto the line again. Remember, I always forget, you guys, sorry. Make sure you do the file, make a copy, entire presentation dealio on this. Okay, another prediction or another observation that I had was that the plants would grow at the same speed. My computer is giving me such trouble tonight, you guys. Come, okay, what's going on here? There we go. Plants would grow at the same speed. So remember, in the last video, I had the two bean plants, and the one was way bigger than the other one, and the one didn't look really well, didn't look healthy. And what actually happened is one plant grew faster than the other. And remember, I noticed that I had overwatered one of the plants, so it grew slower. So how I adjusted my prediction is, so I stopped watering that plant for a while, and remember this week we saw in the video that it caught up to the other plant, and so it caught up to the other plant. Okay, so that is my second prediction. And then my third prediction that I had thought was that the navy beans would grow in the jar. Remember, I had them in the upside down jar. Navy beans would grow in upside down jar. What actually happened is they didn't grow very fast at all, remember? They didn't grow much at all. So do you remember what I did to change it? How did I change what was happening to the navy beans? Oh, come on, computer. All right. So what I did was I planted the navy beans on wet paper towel in a baggie. Remember, I put them in a baggie on a wet paper towel, and do you remember what happened when I did that? Then they grew just like the red beans. So this is what I want you guys to do for your assignment today. I want you to look back through your science journal, look at things that you predicted. Did they work out? Did they not work out? Did your beans not grow the way that you thought they would? Did you notice one to make your beans grow more successfully? And that's what I want you to write on these 3 slides. All right, I'm excited to see what you guys learn and what you see, and have fun with your beans.